Good evening, everyone, and welcome once again to your live Investment Dominator Q&A call. And as usual, my name is Warren Davis, and I'm here to help assist you in getting your questions answered as it regards and as it relates to the Investment Dominator. So I want to welcome you to this great Monday. It is February the 3rd, 2020, and we are so glad that there are so many of you on the call today. And hopefully you will be getting your question answered, and we really appreciate you typing in your questions and getting them, putting them out there in front, so that because so many people commented. I was just in Tampa, as you know, last month, and we had so many comments. People, shared that they appreciated the questions that get asked because they have those questions in their mind, and some of them don't even know how to ask the questions. So I appreciate you having the courage to put your questions out there. And good evening to Rebecca. Hopefully, according to my indicators, you all can hear me and you're seeing my screen. It says your questions answered. So thank you for responding so far. I see that seems like I'm coming through okay, loud and clear. Hopefully everyone can hear and see my screen. For those of you that are brand new or that are just joining us, we have people coming on each week that are brand new. We want you to be able to send in your questions, and you do have a control box there that you can just type in your questions and hit send, and those questions will get to me. The only thing that I do ask is that when you do have a question, you either preface the question or put before the question, either using the question mark or the word question. It really helps me to be able to, and that's not the one I wanted to pop up, but in any case, if you're asking a question, if you put in a question mark or a couple of question marks like that and then state the question, that works out very well. Or you can just put the word question in front of the actual question and then state the question. This helps me to determine or distinguish between questions and comments as they come in. I do love the comments, but a lot of times when we have comments, throughout the course with so many of you on the line, I get some comments and I can't really tell if it's a comment or a question. So that would help me greatly. If you would, I would appreciate it. So again, we're going to jump right into getting your questions answered. And we always go back to any previous questions we had from the call before, or any circumstances I wanted to, any demos I tried to execute, and if they didn't work out right, like we had a couple last week, I will try to straighten that out so I can make sure you understand exactly how the Investment Dominator is currently functioning. We do have some releases of the software coming up soon, so there'll be some new updates going out. Those of you that are going to be participating in the Investment Dominator, the Maximizer, 2-day Maximizer workshop, which is going to be on February the 20th and 21st of this month. We've always told you about the big three. So it starts out with your profile. Hopefully you have your profile information in there where you have a signature and it's all set up. And we've gone through, a lot of you are signing up for the onboarding calls. And I can't emphasize enough, please, get scheduled for the onboarding calls if you're planning to be there on February 20th and 21st, because if you come in without the big three done, which is your profile and your company information set up, a lot of times we have people coming in that have the profile and the company information set up, but the big one has to do with setting up their buying and selling site, which requires you to get domains. We recommend GoDaddy, but whoever your domain provider is, please have your domains, your buying site domains purchased and have it set up where you no longer have the Investment Dominator domain, defaulting in your Investment Dominator account. The problem with this is people come to the workshop that day, that Thursday, and they're trying to call GoDaddy over their lunch break to set up the domains. And so GoDaddy has all these calls coming in and they're trying to set up domains for everyone. And so it ends up taking more than 24 to 48 hours for these domains to get set up. So we really need you to at least the week before to have purchased your domains and have them configured in your Investment Dominator. You know, you have to come in to change your domain, and you know, we've gone through this if you're on the onboard calls. So I can't stress enough, please, please try to get that done before. And if it's done before the 2-day workshop, you'll be in good shape. So we've already had some questions coming in here, and okay, we'll see if we can get around to that question, Mr. Thomas Dickey, and we will we'll get that answered for you. I want to go back and look at a couple of items that we demoed on Thursday or even last Monday that didn't actually work out the way I planned. One of which is, if we go to our land deals record here. So the first question is, how do we move listings around? How do we move listings around on our buying and selling sites? Actually, the selling site specifically. So I'm gonna look at the selling. And remember, I came in to each record that you have under complete ready to sell mode. So that's one of the requirements. It needs to be under complete ready to sell mode. This is where you will actually put records on your selling site. And you come in, you edit it. And if you remember, I went down and I was attempting to move, you know, the listings up or down by using, you know, this property listing order. Now, what I did find out is that this is functionality that got accidentally released. It's coming, okay, it's on the way, but it's not here yet. So I didn't know that it hadn't been released. So, you know, of course, in my zealousness to put this out here before you, I thought it was ready, but it's not ready at this particular point. But it is coming, and you'll be able to move your listings around. So what would that look like? If you go up under your selling site and you bring up, you know, you have 2 listings. Right now, that's all I have is 2 listings here. But if I wanted this one to be moved up to position 1, it's 450 acre parcel in Cameron. If I wanted to be moved up to position 1, theoretically, I could go into that record and I could either move this listing up or down the same way we do with pictures. We move them up or down based on, you know, how we want the listings to display. So just want you to know that functionality is coming, and as soon as it gets in place, trust me, I will be demoing this and showing you how great it works when this property listing order gets put in place. So right now, that's not the case, okay? So just so you're not trying to go in there and work that in your own account, it's not working right now. Second question is, we described a seller. Basically, this question is how to handle a seller who attempts to get you into a bidding war with another investor. So this is more of a business question, but I cited it, I think it was last Thursday, and I just wanted to let you know what came of that. So this was a real life example that we had in our business where we had a seller that had basically accepted our offer. So this was an offer request in pending preliminary research status. They had accepted our request to buy their land for a certain amount of money. So this particular seller then gets on the phone and calls us back after they've accepted our offer and says basically that they have another offer which is exactly the same. So this lady, even before she sent it back signed, you know, because when you send out an offer, you basically expect the seller to sign it and then to email it back. Well, I guess she received the exact same offer from another person. And so she said, well, either, you guys can offer us more money, or, we might go with this other seller. So, my wife and I, we talked about it and decided we had enough profit margin in the actual profit. Now, these are none of the deals here, but it was just in preliminary research, and we decided we were going to go up $3,000 on our offer. And so when we called her back, we made sure that she understood this was going to be our final offer. We're going to create another sale agreement. You, Miss Seller, will either accept this agreement, or, but I didn't want her going back to the other investor and saying, well, WM Agape has given us, $3,000 more. If you can match that, or if you can go above that, we'll work with you. I didn't want her to be able to go back and forth. So I made sure I put on her particular offer, this is a final offer, and you have 10 days to get back with us and accept the offer. So long story made short, she did accept our offer finally. And I don't know what she did with the other investor. I don't know if it was somebody in our business or not, but in any case, if a seller finds out that you'll keep going back and forth and you'll get into this bidding war, they will, allow you keep raising your offer just to get their business. And after a while, it's no longer profitable. So the way you handle that is you let them know, this is Mr. Seller or Miss Seller, this is my final offer on this property. If you choose to go with us, you have 10 days to get this offer back to us. If not, hey, we're going to move on, and no hard feelings. And as you can see, we ended up getting the contract. And so we're happy about that because it is a nice piece of property, and we're looking forward to being able to market it. Whole moral to the story is, please just don't let them put you into a power struggle with other investors. And okay, let me see some other questions coming in here. What email address that we just want a seller? Someone cellular. Oh, okay. All right. We'll get to that question too, Don. So we have 2 questions pending there. That's one is from Tom Dickey, and the other one is from Don. We will get we'll get those answered for you as soon as we get through a couple of our other questions here that came in on last week. Here we have one from one of our mentoring students that came in, and Mr. Diepenthal. He asked, so if I don't want to print out all of my offer requests, okay, this is a common question that we get. I'm going to explain to you a little bit how Investment Dominator works here so that you understand. If you don't want to print out all of your offer requests at one time, because you may not have completed all of your analysis, but you want to print out the ones that you have. Okay. Okay, how do we just print out the ones we have when we go up to our bulk? Let's see, if we went into our bulk commands, these are what we call the bulk commands, because these commands up here, when you go into campaign or you go into export or you go into import, they are based on a status. Okay, they're based on whatever status the record may be in at the time. When you're at this level, this lower level here, after you've selected one over here to the left, this lower status here is based on your selection. So Mr. Diepenthal's question has to do with anything in printing preliminary research. If you go up here and you go into campaigns and you print your offers, right? if you're printing your offers, he wants to know, okay, how do I control, basically, I only want to print out the offers that I've completed. So there's one of two ways you can do that. You could create a special status in here that, and let's see if I've actually updated it here. Okay, you could create a status, something like the status says offers to be sent. Now this is a custom status that I created. Offers to be sent. That means I'm going to send these offers, but I haven't completed my analysis yet, and I haven't come up with a market value. So you could do that, and then you would assign the ones you don't want to print to that offer, to that interim status, if you will. That would be one way to do it. Now, the other way to do it, which I think is much easier, is if you simply do not populate the market value, or if you populate the market value, but you don't give them an offer amount. Okay, so if you're in pending preliminary research and there's like this Ellis Ferguson here, there's no offer amount that's been specified. Even if there were a market value, you come in here and you see that there's no offer amount that has been determined. What Investment Dominator automatically does, it would print this offer, it would print this offer in pending preliminary, but it would skip this particular offer associated here with 290. It would print this one because there's an offer, there's a market value and there's an offer amount. So anything that has a market value and an offer amount, Investment Dominator will automatically, when you come up here and you hit campaigns, and then you go into your offers, it automatically is going to generate offers for those records. But again, if there is no offer amount here that has been determined, Investment Dominator will not print that out, even though you go up here and you reference it in your campaigns, and this is under pending preliminary research. So to me, that's the best way to control the printing of those. If you don't want to print them out, or because you haven't gotten to them yet, just simply do not create the offer amount and/or don't put in a market value, and Investment Dominator will automatically skip those records. So I'm hoping that gives a little bit more insight. So how do you not print those out is simply by leaving out those two fields. Hopefully that'll give you more insight and a little bit about how Investment Dominator works when it comes to producing offers. Okay. Okay, so great, good job, Don. So we did have a question from Tom here on and figuring out how to build his websites. Okay, how to build websites. So you know, with Investment Dominator, you have a buying and a selling site. So is there a detailed instructions manual? Look, the videos still have many questions. Well, Tom, you can go on and type in a few of those questions. The answer to is there a detailed manual? Unfortunately not. There is not a detailed manual. We basically have instructions, you know, on depending on what your question is. We definitely have some detailed, you know, I would say under help and searching your user guide. When it comes to your, buying or selling sites, I don't know if you just type in websites, you might get, how to customize the look. But if you're talking about how you set up your website, then that could be another, it could be in one of these series of articles that we've already written on the websites. So unfortunately, there's not a detailed instruction manual. And so now I noticed your next question. If you want to manage, okay, so his next question is on the manage your buying site. Okay, basically you're asking, can you add any other functions to that site? And what Tom is speaking of is under customize, and you have your website settings buying. Let me list the question here. Okay. Website settings buying. Can you add functions or to that site? So when you say manage your website buying, so these are the functions that right now can be added. You notice that this section up here says not set. So basically, if you want to add, something to, if you want to add something to your menu, your header menu, some other functions like the for sale map or the land for sale, or you've made some custom maps, custom pages. This would be the only way, because you see here I have like a custom opt-in page. You would have to generate an actual page so that it displays here, and then like the only way to add it would be to left click it, and then you bring it down into this section so that it actually becomes one of the menus. But you've got to make sure you know that it makes sense. Like I have my custom opt-in page here, but it doesn't make sense to have a custom opt-in page on a buying site, okay? Because that's where you're buying property. And the reason why, and some of you may not have any of these selections here, and the reason you don't have them is because you have to build in a page first. So I would come up here under customize. I would go into custom pages and posts. Okay, here's where I have my custom pages. And this is where I have my custom pages, my custom opt-in page, etc. Like Warren's custom opt-in page, right? That was one of the pages that I built for my site. So the only way to add things to that is to actually build your various pages. And then of course, if I edit that, so you can, it's basically just an opt-in form. Okay, and this gets a little more, it gets a little complex after a while, but what I'm trying to say here is, oh boy, let me get back into this management. I have a custom opt-in page here, and I cancel out of that, and you'll notice that these opt-in pages that I have here, you see displaying here, these are the same functions or pages, if you will, that are under when I go to my website buying and I say manage my buying site, these are the same pages that appear here. If I want to add increased pages to my menu, increased selections, I have to first build a custom page. So you saw Warren's custom opt-in page, but this is a buying site. So this is a buying site, so that it doesn't make sense to have an opt-in page on your buying site. The opt-in page is for my selling site. So, and to answer your question, no, you have to know whatever kind of page you build here, it has to make sense to be on your buying site. So right now, the only thing we use this for, just so I make sure you all understand this, hopefully I'm not confusing anybody. The only thing we use this for right now is if I go to my buying site, okay, and I say, do you want to sell your land or sell your house? Now, some of you that are just doing land, you don't want any reference to your house, selling your house. So what we're using this for right now is when you go into your buying, you change, oh, come on, Davis, manage your buying site menu. What we would do is we would remove the sell your house function. We would put it up here under not set, in the not set area, and we say save. And when we come up here now under our buying site, you see the only thing it has is a reference to sell your land. So that's the only way we're really modifying the sites right now. We're taking functionality away. So the only link it's there has to do with selling your land. Some of you that may want to have a link for selling your land and selling your house, you would just leave that alone. You just leave it down here in this same area. Save it. And then of course, we now have it on your, it's now sell your house and sell your land is on your buying site. So that's the way you move functionality on and off of your site. So okay, hopefully that gives you a little insight of how we would be using that particular function. And again, if I don't get to your questions today, I will definitely get with them. And like I said, see, we've got some business questions, business related questions coming in. Okay, and Don's question has to do with what email address let me see here. What email address that we have entered is used when a seller contacts our seller website and clicks on sell your land? Okay. What email address that we have entered is used? Okay. For sellers, remember, when you come under, you're configuring your company information. So what address is used for sellers? It is simply, okay, your company email address. Now, the system is always going to default to your company email address for sellers. If like when it comes to offers going out, that you have a special offer email specified, the system would use that email address for offers going out. So that's if you're offering. But if initially you're trying to say, I want to sell, do you want to sell me your land, or I want to buy your land? It's going to use your company email. In the event that there is no offer email, the system automatically goes to your company email, just automatically. If you don't have a selling site email, which are for your buyers, so if there's no email address for your buyers, the system again automatically by default uses your company email. So just for simplicity's sake, that's the email address that the system is going to use, and that's the email address Investment Dominator is going to use. For simplicity, all we have, at least for this is the way it runs in my company, all we have is a company email. Because I have other email situations, being a coach, I have a coach's email, and then I have another email that other individuals in the company get a hold of me. I have my personal email address. So I don't want to keep track of, for my company, I don't want to keep track of an offer email and a selling site email. I just don't want to keep track of that many. So we basically don't have any entries in here, so that the system automatically uses my one company email that I have specified. And hopefully that's clarity there. That's the way it's going to work for you, Don. When a seller contacts your website and clicks on sell your land. Remember, selling your land, that's your buying website. So basically they're clicking on buying your buying website, and this is the one, when they say they want to sell your land, the email address that this is going to go to is your company email address in the system. Okay. And then Paul asked a question about, I'm getting a lot of good questions here today. Do you need a Google voice number in each state that you're marketing? Oh, in Craigslist. Okay. So for Craigslist, do you need a Google voice number in each state? That you're marketing a property? No, you do not. Because the way Craigslist actually works, I'm not the end-all be-all expert on Craigslist, but I've had enough experience with them. The way I know Craigslist works is per listing. As your listings come in, if you have the number, 41573, okay, 675, and okay. The way Craigslist works, so far as phone numbers are concerned, it looks at the format of the actual phone number. So from one listing to the next, if you're in one city, but mainly it's from one listing to the next, if you just change up the phone number a little bit by, in one, you had 51322, change the format of the phone number, it kind of fools Craigslist, and it will allow you to put in another listing, and then the next one might be 5675 and 4322. This might be a little hard for somebody, but they would still get the idea that this is the area code, this is the number. the important thing to do is to change up your number as much as you possibly can from one listing to the next, so that Craigslist looks at it as being a brand new listing. It's not so much as you having to keep track of each state that you're marketing the property in, but the whole reason for this is so that you don't get flagged. So if you don't want to get flagged, you basically have to change up your listing a little while. And I mean, there's a ton of different ways to change up your phone number. And so that's what I'd recommend. I mean, even so, another way would be, 415 and 675, and then just 4322. I mean, you just have to come up with as many formats as you possibly can, and Craigslist won't flag you. But it's not just your phone number they're looking at. I mean, you can just change up your listing period. Anything that you change in your verbiage, your description of that particular property will, to Craigslist, appear to be a completely new listing. There's a VA that right now we're looking at working with that happens to be over in Pakistan. And these folks have figured out how, and all they do is Craigslist ads. And when I really verify that this works the way I'm expecting, I'll share the VA with, because so many people want to be able to use Craigslist, but they don't want to get flagged. So these folks have learned out how to basically get around all of the Craigslist issues so that they can list, from one city to the next city and not get flagged or hung up. All right. So okay, and so that, hopefully that gives you a little insight down into or Paul, into how you can change up your phone number and still have plenty of listings out there for Craigslist. And you just have to update it, I think, once every 7 days or so that your listing also starts appearing near the top. Change it. Okay. So the email is our company one. Okay. Don, you're saying you have different email addresses for company, offer, and selling. Okay. Okay. Said you have different email addresses for the company, offer, and selling. I guess, but the system still put the company email on the auto reply. Well, yes. When it comes to, let me make sure I get this down. So the question is, can we change the email address, or the email address that gets communicated, when the seller when the seller hits your buying site, basically. Okay. You still put the company one on the auto reply. Yes, because when it comes to it, there's not actually, as you can see here, we have a selling site email, but we don't have necessarily a buying site email. And remember, the customer is going into your buying site if they're going to sell you their property. So on the auto reply, because there is no buying site email, there's only a selling site email, and there's only an offer email, and there's only a company email. So the system automatically is going to send the company email on those replies when it comes to the buyers, because it's assuming that you want all correspondence to come back to your company email. And that's I'm hoping that that's clear, but that's just the way it works right now. Okay. Yes, you're welcome, Paul. And let's move on here to some other Investment Dominator questions. Okay, still another question about the buying site. Hopefully this will help some of you understand a little bit more about how the buying site works, but this came from Josh. Josh was asking, when people wish to sell their property, and they enter the buying site, or they enter your buying site, how is their information processed by Investment Dominator? Very good question. Just for your own insight here, people come into our buying site, website buying, and they say, well, you know, I want to sell you my land. So they come in here and they say, I want to sell you land for cash. Comes up with this particular box. So let's say they enter their information. Two things I'm going to show you here. Number one, after they enter this information, if there's anything that's wrong or incorrect, and really the only thing Investment Dominator is going to know about, it's going to put together, is this first name, last name. I don't even know if it checks the phone number or not, but it definitely is going to check this reference number. If the reference number is not correct that they have, or that they enter, it says, okay, get a cash offer now. If it's not correct, Investment Dominator is going to catch it if it doesn't line up with all of the first name, last name, etc. And they would get a message like this: oops, looks like we don't have a record in your system under that name and reference number. Please review the information you entered and check it against the letter we sent you. If you did not receive a letter from us regarding your property, please leave the option reference number blank. So it would be better that they didn't even enter an option reference number. But let's say they do have an offer reference number, and they enter it. They enter the right name, last name, let's say Jones, phone number, okay, let's put in the phone number, and the offer reference number they entered 147. So Investment Dominator is going to take this name, first name, last name, and this reference number here, and it's going to compare it with what it has internally. And if it does, fine, it's going to say, okay, welcome back. And you've previously requested an offer back on 6/29/2019. Please choose. Okay, I'd like to contact you, or I'd like to submit a new offer request for a different property. So if you select that, then it's going to come in here and it's going to, continue with the previous one that had already been sent. But the point I'm making is that it found this reference number based on the owner number that was put in. This is a property reference number, but it found that person in the system and that they had already been in the system. And now they can send a message to you. And of course, when they hit send, the email address this is going to go to is the email address that's associated with their company email. Okay, so that's how information gets put into it. Now, if they come into the site, the buying site, and they say, I want to, you know, they want to sell their land, they come in here and they put in Thompson, primary phone number. Okay, and they leave the reference number out altogether. So they don't even specify a reference number here. Then, of course, now the system is going to ask for all of their information, their email address, fax number, mailing address, and it's going to ask for all of the information it can about the county and the property, the APN, all of this information, and it's going to ask them, finally, once they complete all this information, finish your offer request. If they finish an offer request, what the system is going to then do is put the information in pending preliminary research. You'll see a new record in pending preliminary research and all of the associated information that they could complete on that particular record. It's going to create a record for them in the Investment Dominator. That's why I really personally could not imagine doing this business without the Investment Dominator. Okay, so question from Michael. I think this is Tucker on here. Glad to see you back, Michael. And Michael's question is, do you personally check your Craigslist listings as much as once a week and then make those changes you mentioned if the land hasn't sold? Well, Michael, quite honestly, I do not do that. I don't do it personally myself, but we have a VA that, yeah, I figured it was you, Tucker. We have a VA. So we pay our VA to actually market on Craigslist. Actually, we pay them to market. They put it on our website. They actually market on Craigslist. They also market on Facebook Marketplace. They market on Zillow for us. And so they actually check these ads every week. They check our Craigslist ads each week, and they check our Zillow ads. They check our Facebook Marketplace ads each week and make the appropriate changes. And then they repost them so that they actually come across as a brand new ad. And we'll do that for so long. I mean, obviously, you know, we're doing our pending preliminary research. We give somebody an offer, they come back, accept our offer. You know, one of the first things we do, we change that status, right, from pending preliminary research to, you know, not only offer sent, but when they accept our offer, we open escrow, we do our detailed research, and then after we've done our detailed research, we move this now to complete ready to sell mode. And we confirm that move. And so once it's in that status, it's now on our selling sites, right? And it becomes an actual listing. So it's marketing, it's being marketed. And once that is happening, they go in each week for the records we have that are being sold, and they actually update Craigslist as necessary. They update Facebook Marketplace, etc., and make sure that our ads stay current. So, so that's a good question from, did we do this first ourselves, Tucker? Yes, we did. At first, Michael, so his question was, did we actually go in and update these ourselves at first? Yes, we did. We had to keep track of, Craigslist. We kept track of Facebook Marketplace. We kept track of Zillow. Zillow has become increasingly strict in their rules and what they will allow. As a matter of fact, Zillow wants to make sure you're the owner of the property before they will actually let you even market on their particular sites. They want you to be the actual owner. So we have no problem with the lands that we, already have in our name, like our seller financing deals. If we've purchased those properties for whatever reason, I know a couple of our deals, we had buyers that were, going to buy the land from us, and they'd already come in, they had signed an agreement, they even put down a little earnest money, and then they went dark. But as soon as they put down that earnest money, and we were ready then to work a deal with them, they put down earnest money, signed a sale agreement, and we went on and we closed on the property. So we had it, it had already been marketed. So we ended up owning those properties because they backed out of the deal basically, but they didn't communicate anything. So, just want to let y'all know that does happen occasionally. That's not a frequent occurrence. It's an every now and then occurrence where a buyer will come in, put down earnest money, sign the sale agreement. We send this paperwork over to our attorney, and so then we go on and close on that property, right? Put it in our name, our company name, and then we're expecting the buyer to now come through and close on their end, right? And for whatever reason, they go dark, they leave us their earnest money, and they just go on, going about their business. Okay, so we made, $500 or $1,000, but we didn't completely sell the property. So now we own this property. And so now that we own it, we can now go back and we can market on Zillow. And that's just another place that we can let people know we have a property for sale because we actually own it. So the question came in now. We did this at first. And how much do we pay our VA to market? And is it practical if you have only a couple of properties to market? Don, that's a good question. How much do we pay them? Do we pay our VAs? We pay them approximately $60 per listing to handle each listing. And that includes $60 includes putting it on our website. It includes putting it in Craigslist. It includes putting it in Zillow if we own that property, and Facebook Marketplace. And they spend so much time, so many weeks updating that ad. It's practical if you have a couple of properties, Don, but it's more a matter of if you've at least gone through the process yourself one time so that you know what's involved with, you know how to market property is what I'm saying. You've gone through the complete ready to sell. You have put the properties out on Facebook. You've put the properties on Craigslist. You put the property on Zillow, and you have that experience, and you realize, well, hey, I get a new property where I'm complete ready to sell. I'm ready to market that property. You have to go out and get your pictures. You're going to create your listing so that it is using the AIDA principle, attention, cultivating that interest, creating a desire, and then finally spurring them to action. Once you've done this yourself and you know how to do it, I think it's practical for you to spend, you know, $50 or $60 paying a VA to do that work for you, because it takes some time to go out on your websites. You know, you have your selling site, and obviously this is lacking some juice here. Let's see here. Let me get rid of that. I thought I had another. Account here. I thought I did. Yep. So it's like my same account. Any case, if you have on your selling site, you know, you've got a couple of, you know, properties that you're marketing. If you get a third one, you know, and you just say, well, hey, I don't feel like going through getting all the pictures, because remember, your pictures are going to create a story for you, right? So your pictures are going to, the hourglass effect. So you could have anywhere from 10 to 12 pictures. Pulling pictures for all of these ads is time consuming. And, you know, you may or may not want to spend time, and this is not an example of our, please don't use this as an example. This is just in a demo account, just to show you all, you know, how some functionality in Investment Dominator works. But you know that you could be going out pulling, you know, 10 or 15 pictures for a listing. It takes time to do that. So if you have a VA that can be, you know, have expertise in this area, it's well worth your time to pay them, let them go on off and do it. And I got that. Okay. So I understand, Don, that if you, okay, you know, you have some properties on the contract, but this part, understand, this is a difficult part of the business. This is one of the challenges of the business, is learning how to write listings. But if you have an LPG, access to the LPG, you know, there's a whole section on just marketing the property. And I would really encourage you to go back, look on your LPG, your land profit generator, and just so happens I had that up. I think there's an entire section on just marketing. And so you're not the market, setting you up, filtering, contact, preliminary research, contact, closing, selling the property, you know, selling the property. There's an entire section on just how to sell the property. How to, now this is internet marketing basics. I know this is a good one. Understanding how to use the internet to market, you know, Craigslist tricks, offline marketing. So there are a few sections in here that can tell you how you can use the internet and basically how you can put together listings. But it takes some experience. It does take some experience to put these together. So, but I encourage you, you know, don't lose heart. Just go through the process once or twice and you'll learn. Another great example, if you want to see examples of good listings, I don't want to just give you our site, but sunnyland.com gives you some real good examples of how to put together, you know, some really good listings. You know, this is Jack's site. So use sunnyland.com if you want to learn more about how to put together your listings. And yes, Michael, to answer your questions, the VAs, they are good at this. I mean, they really are good. They put listings together just like we put listings together. They've learned how we think. So it took us a while to train them, but they're worth their money. Okay, people, that's about all we have time for today. Great questions. Thank you so much for being on the call. There's a lot of you on the call today. Let me leave you with this thought. price of success is hard work, dedication to the job at hand, and the determination that whether we win or lose, we have applied the best of ourselves to the task at hand. That's a saying that came from Vince Lombardi. So, price of this is hard work, dedication to the job at hand, and the determination that whether we win or lose, we have applied the very best of ourselves to the task. Do the very best you can and continue to get on the calls and look at your Investment Dominator. You know, you're searching the user guide. That's a wealth of information there, and you will be successful in this business. Thanks, everybody. Have a great evening, and we will be back here on Thursday at 12 noon, 12 noon, 2 o'clock Eastern. All right. Have a good evening. Bye-bye now.